Hey Floyd, I know you've had the contract for a while now, and at first I thought you didn't sign it because you didn't want one punch to ruin your legacy.
They say it's not about the size of the dog in the fight. They say it's about the size of the fight and the dog.
Nice.
So that's why I tripped at Floyd Mayweather, because it is about the size of the dog in the
Here
fight.
we go.
Here we go.
Fighting out of the blue corner, really needing no introduction, the world over. Boxing's undisputed #1 attraction, Floyd.
It's been rumored for months now. They've talked trash to each other on social media, and at least as per Logan Paul, there's now officially a contract which they're waiting on Floyd to sign. Does that mean a fight between these two will ever happen? Definitely not, as there have been countless contracts sent and received in sports history, which never led to anything. At the end of the day, until both parties, in this case both fighters, sign a contract, nothing is set in stone. Logan, to no surprise, has been much more vocal and adamant on getting the fight to happen. He also seems quite certain he would hurt Floyd and ruin his undefeated legacy. Floyd, on the other hand, hasn't spoken much on the possibility of fighting Logan Paul, nor does he seem that interested. That being said, he did take time out of his day to tweet about Conor McGregor, who Floyd beat back in 2017, and also made sure to throw in a jab at Paul as well. Although it seems the fight may never happen, let's say it does. My money is on Floyd. He's undefeated and will go down as one of the best of all time. But if he fights Logan, that could all change. After all, anything could happen in sport. Today in Life's Biggest Questions, we're asking, what if Logan Paul beat Floyd Mayweather? But before we do, smash that like button, as it would really help out the channel. First things first, how did all this even start? Well, it seems back in September, there were rumors that a contract had been sent to Floyd, and the two of them were potentially going to fight. This appeared to come out of nowhere, as Paul's most recent fight was a loss to fellow YouTuber KSI back in November of 2019. Floyd's last fight was an exhibition match against the Japanese kickboxing star Tenshin Nasukawa in Tokyo, which he won fairly easily. Prior to that, Floyd's last bout in the ring was against McGregor, which happened way back in 2017 and lasted 10 rounds, with Mayweather of course remaining undefeated. There were reports that Mayweather was possibly going to fight Conor again, maybe do a rematch against Manny Pacquiao, or could potentially go toe-to-toe with UFC's lightweight champ Khabib Nurmagomedov, who recently retired after going 29-0 in his mixed martial arts career. None of that came to fruition, nor did an alleged match between Logan Paul and NFL wide receiver Antonio Brown. Still, Logan was looking for an opponent, and somehow Floyd came up. It's unclear how the two names got mixed in together, but what I do know is that there were not only rumors that the two were going to fight, but apparently a contract had been signed at one point. As we clearly see, that isn't true, but still, back in September while at the airport, TMZ asked Logan about the fight, to which he said he can't say anything about it, but he's always training. This of course just added more fuel to the fire, but Mayweather made it quite evident there wasn't a contract and he wasn't even that interested in signing. Fast forward to November, and it seems, although the rumors died down a bit with Jake Paul and Nate Robinson's fight coming up as the undercard for the Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. fight, people are talking again. Logan once again ignited a fire when asked about a potential bout, speaking with the paparazzi outside of an LA steakhouse after dinner. And let's just say he was very blunt about how he feels. I quote him saying, "Let me tell you this, if I caught Floyd in a real fight, street fight, whoop his ass, no question. MMA, octagon, whoop his ass. The only place I think Floyd is safe, obviously, is the boxing ring, but to be honest, I don't give a f***. I don't give a f***. I would fight Floyd anywhere, anytime, any place. Doesn't f***ing matter to me." Logan then went on to compare their sizes, strength, and age, explaining that, quote, "I'm 8 inches taller, I'm 40 pounds heavier, I'm half his age, I'm 2 times as hungry, and 10 times as smart. I'm used to beating up people weaker and stronger than he is. I'm used to beating up people weaker and shorter than he is. I grew up with Jake." And of course, he had to end it by throwing in some more jabs, calling the undefeated boxer out, and pretty much saying what I've been saying all along: Logan has nothing to lose, while Floyd has everything to lose. When asked why Floyd wouldn't take the fight, Logan explained, "Bro, think about it. He's got everything to lose, I've got nothing to lose. Mr. Money wants a money fight, let's f***ing go." This appeared to get the attention of Mayweather, who decided to take to Twitter to address the situation. I quote his tweet reading, "These YouTube girls better find some Barbie dolls to play with, cause I'm not one for the kid game. 3 years ago, a fighter from the UFC said my name, and I had to put a muzzle on that At Logan Paul could get the same treatment before I go conquer Japan again." Clearly the response was aimed at taking a shot at McGregor, but Floyd made sure to include Logan in the tweet as well. Aside from pretty much telling Logan he would shut him up the way he shut Conor up, it seems he made his feelings clear about YouTubers trying to get into pro sports. More specifically by referring to the situation at hand as kid games, it seems he's not all that interested in fighting Logan in the first place. Which again I understand, because why would he? With all due respect, Logan does have nothing to lose, whereas Floyd really had nothing to gain. True boxing fans wouldn't watch, meaning Floyd likely would need to rely on Logan's following to help boost pay-per-view sales, which Mayweather would undoubtedly get a percentage of. Given how much he allegedly made against Conor, which has been rumored to be over $300 million, I don't think Floyd is fighting Logan anytime soon, nor do I think he'd be able to pocket more than $10 million, if that. It just doesn't make sense for the guy. But let's say it happens. Floyd's ego gets in the way and he has something to prove. They fight and Floyd somehow loses. Now what? Well, first things first, let me just make something very, very clear. He wouldn't lose. Only way he loses is in a dream. But let's just get hypothetical here and say he does lose in real life. What now? First, let's talk about the fight itself. What weight class would they even fight at? Logan is 6 foot 2 inches tall and weighed in at 190 pounds for his last fight. In the boxing world, he'd be considered a cruiserweight, or if we're going old school, he'd have to put another 10 pounds to be a heavyweight or drop 15 pounds to be a light heavyweight. Floyd Mayweather is 5 foot 8 inches tall and fought at 150 pounds in his last sanctioned fight, which was against McGregor. That being said, Floyd has gone up and down in weight class, with his lightest weight being 130 pounds and maxing out at 154. To no surprise, if this fight were to happen, it would be on Floyd's terms, so odds are, Logan would need to lose a lot of weight. Maybe 50 pounds? It wouldn't be pretty. This also wouldn't be a sanctioned boxing match, and instead, much like Floyd's last fight against Tenshin, this too would be an exhibition match. Which means technically, if Floyd were to lose, his record in professional boxing would still be 50-0. That being said, a loss is still a loss. And although Floyd's record wouldn't officially be 50-1, it seems his legacy and a lot of respect would be lost for the undefeated boxer, who at times has said he's better than Muhammad Ali. The reality is, Floyd would still be Mr. 50-0, he would still have the money team, although people would be in utter shock and would likely lose a ton of money assuming they bet on Mayweather. I think the whole thing would blow over. If anything, the news wouldn't be so much about the loss as it would be the potential scandal that people would think took place. The fight was rigged. With all due respect to Logan Paul, I really don't see any way he beats Floyd, especially if he were to drop down to 150 pounds. Although Logan has a height and likely a reach advantage, Floyd is one of the best of all time. If 50 guys who have spent majority of their lives training as boxers weren't able to beat Floyd, I don't see how Logan legitimately does, which is why I think for Logan to win, the fight would need to be rigged. How or why they would somehow come to an agreement to turn this into a WWE match, I couldn't tell you. But it seems that truly is the only way Logan would win. And how things play out from here really depends on how each fighter takes the situation. Assuming that eventually someone lets the cat out of the bag and admits the whole fight was rigged, immediately both sides face backlash. However, any publicity is free publicity, and it seems they'd both use that to their advantage. Logan, being a YouTuber and entertainer, would just make a ton of content regarding the scandal, whether he's trying to prove his innocence or is soaking up all the attention and playing into the bad guy persona, if you will. Floyd, on the other hand, would likely deny that it was rigged, or potentially would come up with a reason as to why he lost, which he feels he was cheated. Maybe he'd say Logan illegally struck him in the back of the head. The ref missed some cheap shots. Who knows the reasoning? Either way, Floyd would never admit a fair defeat from Logan, and if it did turn out the fight was rigged, I still don't think Floyd would admit to being a part of it by any means. And the only way Floyd would rig the fight, even though this is a long shot by a mile, is if he was guaranteed a few $100 million, maybe even $500 million. And it seems that a pay-per-view event between Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather, so it seems someone would need to put up the money. Probably someone who has a lot of money on Logan Paul to win, as he would be a huge underdog. I wouldn't even want to know what the odds would be in favor for Floyd. Point I'm getting at is the mob would be involved, ensuring that Floyd loses to a YouTuber turned amateur boxer. They'd bet a large sum of cash on Logan to win, they'd pay Floyd off, most likely Logan as well, and the rest is history. Whoever were to expose the situation would likely flee the country fearing for their life. As you know, these guys don't mess around when it comes to organized crime, and odds are whoever was the whistleblower would eventually be found at the bottom of the ocean with cinder blocks tied to their legs. I mean, you could say I watch too much TV, but as I've been saying, I don't see how Logan beats Floyd in any capacity, so we had to get a little creative here. Now before we do some comment replies, let me know in the comments down below if you think Logan would ever beat Floyd. I think you know how I feel by now. Alright, let's do some comment replies from the video. What would iPhone 13 look like? I am the Bunny Man said, I don't trust iPhone. The last thing I need is my phone spying on me, myself, and I. I mean, I think any piece of technology you have, like I have a Google Home, and there's an option to turn off the microphone at the back, and I never do, because every time I want to use it, I don't want to have to turn the microphone back on, right? So you just walk in the room, hey Google, play this song, and then it does it, and it's like sick. But someone's definitely always listening to me, 100%. I have no doubt about it. But I don't have anything to hide. They want to know, like, some of my, things that I do in my own personal free time that some people might find weird. That's on to the government, I guess. I'll leave it at that. VTA said, by current trajectory, iPhone 16 will require you to assemble the phone yourself. So innovative. Unfortunately, yes. It seems like they're regressing. I know everyone says this new phone is like the coolest, the greatest, the iPhone 12, the cameras are so much better. But it's like the 11 was the camera upgrade. Like you don't have to upgrade the cameras again. And they also made it look like, I think the iPhone 4, is it more square or 3? I think it's 4 or 5. 4? 4, yeah. So it's like, what do you, like, you're regressing. You're just selling the same thing now and just saying it's new. Kinda, I don't know. Smug Speed said, like every other iPhone before it, but just slightly better. 100%. That's literally what they do. They're like, you know what? The 11 Pro is a really good phone, but the 12 is a little bit better. Like they just increase the speed of the processing power, they add a little camera, and that's about it. I remember back in the day, there used to be big upgrades from the iPhones. Like the 3 to the 4 was like, whoa, this is a different phone. Now it's like from the 8 till the 12, it's like more or less the same thing. One just has a nicer camera, a little bit faster. That's about it. I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. Anyways, guys, I've been your host, Jared Bronstein. We'll see you guys soon.